if I documented the sheer amount of what type of stuff, man, that I went through, man, I think people can get tremendous amount of value, especially the younger entrepreneurs. Alright, so this is going to be converted into a podcast, an audio version itself, because clearly all you're seeing is just a dark thing because I'm driving home from the office. But I want to answer the question, is this just a show that I'm putting on, or do I actually work the way that I do? And the answer is, sadly, and I say this very, very truthfully, sadly, the answer is true. This is how I work. And unfortunately for me, I have some certain issues about trust. I have certain issues about how I work, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's one of the number one reasons why this is how I work. Is one, I used to have a team and I would trust them to do a lot of things, but as certain stuff happened that didn't go the way that was planned, and I shrunk down and I started to do stuff on my own a lot more, and it's been really difficult to trust team members to get stuff done, you know. But also at the same time, knowing the fact that I can actually now kind of go back and review some of the stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit there and watch the hours and hours of recording myself, okay? And if you're listening to this on the podcast, go to jeffcoga.live and literally watch me on a daily basis where I document and record myself working as I grow my two different companies. One is my real estate investment and development company, as well as my digital agency that I have as well, that currently right now specializes in the space of real estate. So those are the two core businesses that I am part of. And obviously I do some little bit of consulting work depending on what type of project it is, right? It's a very small amount to a point where if I run across, great entrepreneurs that need a little bit of more guidance from me, as well as their executors, meaning that they can go out and execute the stuff, yeah, I'll take on some consultative work. But I actually have significantly shrunk down my clients pool because I'm coming back full blown doing real estate and growing my real estate side. And the reason being is that number one, I'm legitimately really good at it, okay? Not to toot my own horn, but it's something that I've been doing since, when I bought my first house and when I was 2004, okay? So because of that, I have superior knowledge than most individuals in that area, and because of that, I do it, right? Now, is that something that I grew up as a child, right? No, I didn't. My grandpa is in the real estate space, and my family in Japan is in the real estate space. So I grew up with that, right? Watching them do real estate deals. I'm still a firm believer that real estate is a vehicle, an asset class that still gives the small guys a chance. All right, and I saw a post by a gentleman named Jason. He runs a Facebook group as well, and hopefully I can get him on as a live interview, Jason Boozy out in San Francisco on the podcast, and we can interview him because I have some really, really interesting questions I really want to ask him, because he's been around the block, as well as he's a lot older than I am, and because of that, I want to ask him some stuff, and one of the things that I know for a fact that I have been, as I was growing up, I always wanted to do was something on the internet, right? As well as I wanted to do something in the space of quote unquote entertainment. All right, that's one thing that I've had. It's in my blood, right? In terms of as an entertainer. So some of the stuff that I've done in the YouTube space, some of the stuff that I've done to try to mesh that has worked. I always say at heart I'm a businessman, but also I'm a believer that I'm an artist at heart as well. So I enjoy that. I really, really enjoy it, but when I see the opportunity as a businessman, I just simply can't just go full blown on it. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys have run into challenges of that kind of stuff, right? That you're good at something and it makes you money, so you do it, right? And luckily enough, and I'm blessed enough in the fact that the thing that I do is a very lucrative business that's in the real estate space, as well as information publishing and as well as the coaching side. So I'm selling my intellectual capital in the space of internet. So really there is no holding cost, okay? Like a tangible product. I'm documenting this stuff as I've been saying this over and over. And if you haven't seen it, right, and you're listening to this on the podcast, right, go to jeffcoga.live to go check it out. I have a webcam pointed behind me and with the live mic on there, and literally you can see my screen to a certain point. I do have to block off some certain stuff that I'm doing because obviously I'm talking, if I'm looking at income statements and if I'm looking at certain private placements, or if I'm looking at certain some financial stuff that I cannot disclose to the public, then I got to make sure that it doesn't pop up. So I'm going to buy some screens that I can pull up so you guys can't see. But also I am doing calls. I'm talking to my team. I'm even doing sales calls, talking to sellers. I'm talking to some of my clients, and you can literally hear the stuff that I'm doing. And now I do mute some of the calls if it's confidential calls, right, that I can, so I will mute it. But I think it's super cool where you can actually literally watch me sit and do this stuff. And I got this crazy idea because I was just sitting there and I was just like, dude, like looking back at my history of working, right? And we were talking about kind of productions, right? One of the guys that I used to work with a lot, and man, the guy's a pit bull, and I helped him out. Hopefully I helped him out. It seems like it is. I taught him literally kind of the ropes of the real estate game, and dude's a bright kid, man. He's bright. He's hungry. He's disciplined, and he's sharp. He has street smarts, and with the street smarts, he does really well in real estate. So we were talking about numbers, right? And he was like, yeah, man, I finally went back, and he was just like, yeah, I looked at last year's number and the type of volume that we did, and I'm not gonna say what it is. But he did really well for himself to a point where he did big, he probably did more volume in terms of real estate sales, right, than probably a real estate brokerage. He's a wholesaler, right? So he did that. So he did really well for himself, right? So, and then I told him, I was like, and he was just kind of like, yeah, man, Jeff, it's kind of, not to toot my own horn, but it's awesome to actually, finally be able to look back on numbers to see what you're capable of doing. And I was just like, yeah, man, that's one of the reasons why when we would have those, monthly meetings, right? And I talk about sales volumes. I would show those numbers, and we would literally, I would chart it out, and I'll show them that, hey, look how much real estate we're moving, and we'll talk about, revenue, we'll talk about, plans, projections, and that kind of stuff, right, in the team meetings. And he said, yeah, man, I remember those meetings, and it kind of brought back a lot of memories. And I wish during those time where we were doing that, I wish that I was doing this already, where literally I could stuck like a camera somewhere in the house, right? And recorded just the sheer amount of pure passion and hustle that we had. Not to say that I don't have the same hustle or passion, okay? Don't get me wrong, okay? I still have it, and not only I have it, but I think if it's anything, I'm hungrier ever, okay? I think I've gotten hungry more than before. Now, about a year ago, literally maybe almost to a year ago, okay, I was in probably a very dark spot in my life as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and because certain things were going on, which at the end of the day, I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone else other than myself, okay? Don't get this twisted, okay? If you're hearing this, is that it had to do because of my decisions that I made and or indecisions that I didn't make, and because of that it compounded to a point where it became a problem, right? Now, the funny thing about problems is problems that are in your favor, right, is guess what? It's called surprises, right? Like surprise. But problems that are not in your favor is called what? Really problems, right? Or surprises not in your favor is called problems. So that's what happened, and luckily enough, and the reason why it saved me is because, one, I have a following in the real estate space, and because of this podcast, because of my email list, because of what I've done in the community, the real estate community, right, I was able to not drown. I was able to not go hungry, right? While I was still doing real estate deals, and as well as I was trying to build it back up. Okay, so now fast forward time now, right? Now I'm full blown. Now I'm focused more than ever, and now I'm becoming a little bit more bearish than ever. I'm not bearish. I'm sorry, bullish in the real estate market and what's going on here. And I'm tad bit really excited, man, on what's going to happen, especially in the fact that what interest rates are doing too. If anyone knows anything about interest rates, right? I'm actually trying to refi currently the house, right? So my wife's house, and I've been paying attention to interest rates more than ever, and it's interesting. I don't think that the T-bills are going to stay down, right? I just don't see it, because I think that the cost of the debt for this country is going to be way too expensive, and it's going to put this country in a really, really bad spot. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I think we might see another boom, right? And again, going back to the Cato Institute 18-year real estate cycle I've talked about and other stuff, and we might be in a really, really great spot. Now, I'm saying all of this, and the reason why, I wanted to bring this up about this topic, I'm jumping on topics, but I wanted to talk about, is this a gimmick, right? Is this a show? Am I putting up a front? No, it's actually how I work. It's like literally I work a lot of hours, and I work kind of like a madman. And can I work more efficiently? 100%, yeah. Can I be a little bit more organized? 100%, yes, I can. I do stuff on things to do that I need to do on a weekly basis. Like, for example, tomorrow, Wednesday, is considered my free day, and I don't have anything scheduled on Wednesdays other than a 9 p.m. Pacific call that I have to do with a possible client later on, and that's about it. Other than that, I don't have nothing scheduled. I have free days and I have focus days, right? Like Mondays and Tuesdays are considered my focus days, where I focus on, hey, the building blocks of the business, right? And then Thursdays is typically considered to be more of a sales and revenue day, plus I have my team meeting in the afternoon with my team around 7 p.m. or so. That's really kind of my day. And then Friday is a kind of another work day as well, a focus day that I have. Okay, so that's what I have. And again, the reason why I'm doing this is not one, hopefully you guys get value out of it in the sheer sake of just watching and be like, man, this is kind of nuts. Is this what it takes? But I'm doing it more for the selfish reason for myself, right? So that way I have something to look back to later on to be like, oh my gosh, this is what I did. Because again, looking back on those times of 2008, 2009, right after the last recession, right? If I documented the sheer amount of what type of stuff, man, that I went through, man, I think people can get tremendous amount of value, especially the younger entrepreneurs, right? The people in their 20s and stuff like that. As I'm recording this, I'm 32 now. I'm sorry, I'm turning 32 in May. I'm 31. I think the entrepreneurs in their 20s can get a lot of value, right? Because people talk about, again, on the hustle and work, but essentially, you're competing against guys like me. You're competing against like my other friends, where if you watch the kind of the live stream, you'll see that I'm doing calls literally at 10:30 p.m., right? Talking to guys, right? These are guys some of them are still in their 20s, okay? And they get up at 5 a.m., get to work, and they start crushing. They work literally to get up at 5 and then go to bed till like 11. They're working their butts off, man. And we're from so-called the millennial generation that we're supposed to be some lazy, entitled person, but no, we're not. We work really hard, and we're chasing our dreams, and I think it's going to be really fun to look back a year from now to be able to see and have this, literally hours and hours of recording of some of the stuff, and I'm learning stuff new every day. And later, the half of today, I spent literally reading ordinances. So I read about, I think, like 8 pages of ordinance until my eyes started hurting. I stopped. So I'm going to probably start reading that when I get back tomorrow morning on that, right? So I'm doing this. So one, selfish reason for myself. But if you want to see yourself and you're on the fence, or you're doing real estate and you're wondering like, hey, how come your business isn't where it wants to be, and or you're just starting off, right? Regardless if you're on the online business or whatever business that you're on, and if you're just remotely interested into seeing, kind of getting a glimpse of a guy who has built multiple 7-figure companies in his lifetime. Now, I'm not saying that at all, okay? If anything, I don't even think that I'm successful in all means. I think still to this day I still have this broke mentality in my head, I think, and maybe one of the challenges why I'm kind of still a solopreneur, where if I'm out of the business, right, the business stops, and if I get hurt, break my leg or something like that, I can't get in, like literally income stops, like majority of my income stops because I have active income where I have to actively be there. So this year I'm focused a lot more on being able to create a little bit more truly passive income, but this passive income isn't passive on what you guys and gals are lead you to believe, where people on the internet space will lead you to believe where hey, you don't have to do nothing and money just comes in. Nah, you know, the only thing that's remotely close to that is real estate, and that's why I'm actively now looking at and underwriting deals where I can buy and hold on to, and it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun as we can talk about it, and there's gonna be times where I go into challenges. There's a deal that I thought that was gonna turn into something like kind of like a massive spread. I'm talking about probably like $100,000 wholesale fee I thought it was going to turn into, but looking at some of the new ordinances that came out in LA City, right, it's looking like it's turning into marginal deals, but because of that challenge, we may be able to figure out a new strategy that I can incorporate to be able to drum up more business, right? So that's really, really exciting. That's kind of the silver lining, right, in everything that you do. And I think it's cool. I'm going to add also on the component of this podcast as well, if you're listening to this later on, is that I'm going to be adding an interview component, which I've never done. Why? Is because I just didn't have the manpower to do it, but I have the manpower now and has the mean to do it, and as well as I know the importance of doing interviews. So I'm going to be reaching out to my circle of friends, people that I've done business with, made money with, people who I've consulted with, people that we're good friends with, people that I look up to and I inspire to, right? And those kind of people. And I'm going to reach out to them and bring them on the Jeff COGA live show and be able to ask questions that I want to ask. And hopefully you, the listeners, can even, send in questions ahead of time so I can ask them directly too. And for anyone that knows me really well, you guys know I don't hold anything back, and when I ask questions, I'm pretty darn blunt and direct, right? So some of the people I interview may not like that, but other people I think that they're going to do really well. And I'll give you some couple examples. I just literally put together a punch list of those people. I have people in India, right, that did a startup. I've known him since he was 15, and he got seed money of $1 million last year, and he's literally doing the Uber in India, which I think is super cool, and he's chasing his dream, right? I got some real estate investors, developer that I talked about is Jason. Hopefully he can come on here as well. His claim to fame is doing kind of the philanthropy work of hiding money, right? And he was even on CNN and stuff like that, so that's super cool, some of the stuff that he did. And I got tons and tons of people, right? People from the health and fitness industry, right? I got people from even the photography industry. Meg is someone that I've worked with in the past, and seeing her actually build her business and going through it. Would love to interview her, especially for my female entrepreneurs out there, right? To actually hear about kind of the relationship of husband and wife team. My wife is joining the team and has been helping with the business as well. So again, I have track records. Another guy's in the tech company, real estate tech company, right? I have another guy that's in the e-commerce space that's just sold his e-commerce business for $1.5 million in 12 months, okay? Previously, he was in the real estate space, but literally, burned the boat and quit real estate completely and sold his business, okay? And he cashed out and now took that business and went somewhere else. I got another guy that was in the real estate business, but runs a huge media agency now, and literally spending thousands and thousands of dollars per hour, ladies and gentlemen. And those are some of the people that I would love to interview, because I think you guys can expand your vision on what's possible in this world because of technology. I have a couple of YouTube people, right? Good friends of the YouTube space that I made great friends with, that I would love to get them on there in the entertainment space, all right? That came on here, that's doing millions, multi-million-dollar company that they're running. They're pitching shows to networks. I got a doctor I want to come on as well that's making great money as a doctor, but seeing how he can make money in the internet space, and started making some money in the internet space, and now he's hooked on that, right? So I got a doctor that I want to get on the show on that. So for the people that currently have a great paying income job, right? What are some of the ways to actually maybe, literally say F you to your boss and leave that job, right? In a strategic, systematic way to be able to make money on the internet, right? So these are some of the people people that I want to interview and get on, and I am going to get them on, and I'm gonna make sure that I can deliver value to you guys and for the listeners here, and that's what I'm really excited about, guys. And I haven't been this excited in a very, very long time, and for the folks who've known me for a long time, you guys know when I get excited, I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about life in general. People know this as well, right? I'm super passionate. I'm super positive, even though you guys might think when you hear about market talk, right, and I talk about stuff that's going on, it's coming from a genuine great, from a good place, and I'm very grateful for everyone and everything that has happened to me, and I want to give back, and this is kind of my attempt of doing it in the most passive way by actually just recording it, right? Why? Is because originally I was going to do like a YouTube vlog video with the camera, but it just came way too much bandwidth that I need to think up, and I just couldn't do it. Versus I said, hey, screw it, let me just play the camera and just record it, and then somehow, some way, I can recruit a great video guy that can come in and maybe turn that into something special later on, right, or something like that. So that's what I got for you. So as you listen to this podcast episode, and as you listen to this live stream, right, go check it out. Go to jeffcoga.live. Go like the page. Leave me a comment on one of the stuff. I don't expect you to watch literally 12 hours of my working day, the whole amount, but maybe skip around to the portions that have high activity or something like that, right? Listen in on some of the stuff, and just leave a comment to let me know that, hey, you know what, you were on that or you watched it, so that way I know that that you were there, and I'll respond back and give you a thumbs up and give you what's up, and give you some love there. So that's what I got for y'all. This is Jeff Koga. Love you guys, each and every one of you that's watching this, and I appreciate you, and you have no idea. All right, I'll say it again. You have no idea how grateful I am that you're even listening to this, and thank you so much, and keep on going out there and chasing your dreams, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Because we got one life to live, and why not make it the best, right?